Good day. I'm Laurence Sanford, Senior Analyst with the American Security Council Foundation. Our motto is peace through strength, and our mission is to educate Americans on issues of national security, economic security, and moral leadership. Today's subject is Venezuela, socialist dystopia. A dystopia is the opposite of a utopia, and dystopia represents where people live miserable lives due to socialist control by the government. And Venezuela, since 1999, has been living under Marxist communist leaders of Hugo Chavez and Maduro, who is the current president. Chavez became president in 1999, and he promised social betterment for the middle and poorer classes. And like all socialist utopian dreams of equality and control and leveling of society, the promises of utopia have turned into a dystopia. Now there's food rationing, riots, and the most telling factor of all is immigration. Over 7 million Venezuelans have fled the country since 2015 due to food shortages, medical shortages, and they're dispersed throughout Latin America and even in the United States. 800,000 have been encountered by the customs, U.S. Customs, which probably means there's another 800,000 that weren't encountered. And we're now seeing in American cities Venezuelan gangs, crime gangs, operating with impunity in America. So it's a real security threat, not only to America, but to other countries in Latin America, the Western Hemisphere. And not only is the immigration an issue for the United States, but the fact is that Venezuela is friendly with not only Cuba, where Chavez went for medical treatments and Maduro went for training, and they have embedded within their intelligence services the Cuban intelligence services. So Cuba and Venezuela are in bed together. But not only is Cuba involved, but now we have Russia supplying military equipment. We have China supplying billions of dollars in loan and is the single largest supplier of oil to China. And just to show you what happens from capitalism to socialism, when Venezuela was a capitalist, it was one of the wealthiest nations in the world because it has the largest oil reserves in the world. And they were producing 3 million barrels a day. 20 years later, they're producing less than 500,000 barrels a day. The price of oil is down, and so now Venezuela owes China. At one time, they had a $50 billion line of credit. They're down to 10 million, but they've had to renegotiate terms because they've been unable to pay. So here we have the wealthiest nation in the Western Hemisphere outside the United States, now at the bottom of the barrel because of socialist policies of firing the engineers and government centralized control. And to top it off, Maduro, in order to gain credibility in the world, promised to hold an election, which was held just within the last few months. And in July, he declared himself the winner and was reinforced by the Supreme Court that he was in fact the winner. Yet the opposition parties were very smart this time around and had all sorts of polling booth people present, and they were able to get data as to the actual voting results. And lo and behold, Maduro lost by 65% to 35%. But that's not what Maduro claims. He claims he won by 51%, and he's sticking to it. And it's very difficult to do anything about it since he controls the army and the intelligence services. His promises of food price controls, subsidized housing, all of this has just wrecked the economy. So what should the United States do? The United States should work with the Organization of American States, OAS, and insist that Maduro honor his promises of obeying the results of the election. Probably not going to happen. So what the United States should do, not involve militarily That has not worked out well for us in the last 100 years when we've been dejected into domestic policies. But we certainly should work with our friends and allies in the Western Hemisphere and do everything we can with gray zone activities to make life miserable for Maduro so that the people within Venezuela assume control of the government. And again, just to make a differentiation, and sometimes we get lost in the weeds, but the difference between a totalitarian state and a democracy or republic like the United States is the government is to serve the people in a democracy. In a totalitarian state, the people serve the government. And so as far as Maduro is concerned, he's going to continue to rule regardless of what the vote is. And as I said, it will be very difficult to dislodge him. So we have to exert pressure and have to do everything within our abilities to force him to resign. And it won't be easy, but it can be done. Whoever thought the Soviet Union would disappear with a whimper, not a bang? So with that, peace through strength, and we will eventually overcome this petty little tyrant down in Venezuela. Thank you.